Hey everyone! Why is being in the present moment important, but especially now? What is conscious awareness? What is our light body? What's a light worker, and why do we need to know these things? And how can putting your hand over your heart change your life? We're going to learn about that and much, much more tonight. So in tonight's Get Off the Couch segment, very simple. This was on my daily calendar today. If someone discourages you, they win. So I'm going to encourage you that if someone's got you frustrated and said, oh, you can't do that, you'll never do that, ignore them. And your action is to believe in yourself and not go away from your dreams and goals, and to surround yourself with people that support you. So remember that. If someone gets under your skin and tries to discourage you, let them go and make it happen. All right, we're going to tell you about tonight's guest. Lisa Transcendence Brown is a light energy channel, an awakening and ascension guide, sharing healing through love, compassion, and kindness. She simplifies and teaches alternative spiritual tools and methods, and expediting one's own personal awakening journey through workshops, classes, and spiritual and personal sessions. Each soul journey is unique and special. She facilitates healing as an intuitive spiritual mentor and by clearing, releasing blockages in the energetic soul body. Welcome, Lisa.
Hi, thank you. Hey, everybody.
And I'm super excited. As y'all know, I'm super excited for every show. Who am I kidding? But one, we have Lisa in the studio tonight because she's from Raleigh, but she is also, I consider, she wouldn't like this word, but a mentor. I have worked with her. She's amazing. I believe so strongly in what she's doing, and I'm honored that she is joining us tonight. So let's get started. Why is being in the present moment so important, but especially now?
Being in the present moment allows us to let go of the past and being victim to anything that owns us, and allows us not to worry about the future and to deal with what's actually present right here. And in the present moment, we're all okay. And we get stuck in thoughts of the past or the future, and we get worried, and we draw all of that into our energetic space, and it doesn't exist. Once a moment passes, it's over, and we choose to hold on to it. And when we choose to hold on to it, that's where suffering comes from.
Let's talk about this a little more. When I've seen you from energy healings, I like to share this. I had a light bulb moment maybe 10 years ago. I don't remember what it was, but I remember I was in Los Angeles. I was in my apartment, and my brother said to me, oh, you see yourself as a victim. And in that moment, I could hear him, and I was like, took a step back, and I was spiritually aware, but not where I am now. And I was like, wow, he's right. And so that started an awakening process for me, because I couldn't even see it myself. But as I've grown and learned things, talk a little bit more about being a victim, because I think it affects a majority of us and how we get stuck there and maybe what we can do to move forward.
Well, it depends on how deep you want to go. Technically, we're all victims.
Okay.
And being a victim to those who are unconscious are victims to their mind.
I like that.
So
if you're unconscious, victim to your mind. Now, when you say mind, you mean ego? Am I using the right term, or it's the same thing?
The logical mind, the rational thoughts, the rationalizing, the memories that we hold on to. From a soul perspective, our ego was created to act out a role of duality. So from that perspective, then everybody is victim to the duality within them, which is their dark side, their stuff that they hide, or the things that the emotional ties to the thoughts that occur, the blame, shame, fear, guilt that goes on, are all tied to thoughts. And the unconscious person lives according to their thoughts, whereas the conscious person functions from their heart. And they're conscious of the things that they think, and then they can actually move to create the way they think instead of being victim to the thoughts that are created from those experiences that they recall here or other lifetimes.
I heard a really interesting mantra the other day that I liked. It was called, be for everything and against nothing. And so let's talk a little bit about duality. So, for an example, duality would be good and bad, seeing the world as good or versus evil. So what you're saying, if I'm understanding correctly, so there really is no good, evil, correct? It's all...
When we move into a soul perspective, and I do everything from the soul perspective, because the soul's perspective sees no right or wrong, sees no good or bad. It sees the purpose in absolutely everything. And it sees that everything that we have experienced, we experience here as a choice made by our soul, as a path set forth for us to resolve and dissolve and let go of. And so moving through the resolution of the duality becomes the purpose, and you choose to let go.
That was a huge aha moment for me. When I realized that allowed me to let go of the biggest thing I felt I was a victim of. It was this aha moment, and it just makes so much sense. So I think that's a huge way to help you move forward. But, we heard about December 21st and how it wasn't the end of the world as we know it, or how people in the media were portraying it, but more ushering in what I would call a new earth, a new time for the earth, a new vibration. So why is it so important, or even more important now, that we stay in the present moment?
Those in present moment actually create the thoughts that they think. In a place of creation, we actually can raise the vibrational frequency on a mass consciousness level, because we're all tapped in to a level that's generating love and kindness, and it's a vibrational frequency. The logical mind thinks at a lower frequency than the heart functions at. So every time someone steps out of their heart, they have to drop in frequency to think.
Now talk a little bit about, what do you mean by vibrational frequency? Is this literally something we can see or feel?
It is. I do an exercise where you actually weigh the emotions and the words, and we can do that. You can hear it. I hear vibrational frequency when people speak. If somebody's in victim mode, it's once we learn. Have you ever said, "Oh, that resonates"?
Yes.
Resonates means you feel it. And when you feel it, you're feeling. The soul communicates in frequency. It feels. It is the opposite of the logical mind. So everything that one does from a soul perspective, the heart feels. Whereas the logical mind thinks, and they do operate at different frequencies. So when someone speaks, there's a difference between masculine and feminine energy. And they carry, and I don't mean man or woman, I mean energy. We both have both. Masculine energy is stronger, and it comes from the logical mind. It's the one that wants to fight. It's the one that wants to, that's where anger is a masculine energy. Whereas a feminine energy is, you can hear it in a person when they speak, they'll whine if they're a victim. You'll hear, "Oh, I don't want to do that." Or a masculine energy that's a victim will complain constantly. And when you hear that, you know that person's in victim mode.
I learned that from you, and that was, and I had worked on and released a lot of my victim energy, I know, because we talked about it, but Lisa was teasing me the other day, because I'm recently engaged, and the first time I saw her, I was like, "When am I going to find a man?" And it was totally in victim mode and complaining. And so I think for me that was a really valuable tool to know. We've got a question on chat I want to get to, and I want to remind our listeners and viewers, if you have a question for Lisa, you can chat it in or call 919-518-9773 or Skype Computers 2K Voice. She is ready and willing to answer your question. Cindy says, "I really don't get it. I work at IBM, and I wake up and go to work, and I'm waiting for retirement. How do I use your thing in my life? Sounds weird."
Are you happy? Ask yourself the question, are you happy? If you are, then it doesn't matter. Because all of this is about being happy. A lot of people work their entire life according to things they feel they have to do, but they're still searching for something else. That comes from the heart. A lot of people going through the awakening process have found that they've worked their entire lives according to the things they think they needed to do. And then they wake up one day and they realize they're not happy. And when a soul awakens, the heart opens. All the pain starts coming out. And we know that there's something else. We just don't know what. That comes from creativity and the things we love to do. And that's happy.
I have said often on the show, and many guests have confirmed it, who I feel, or, you know, everyone I have on the show I consider an expert, but that we've talked about it, it's harder to hold on to your stuff and not release it. It takes more energy and is more painful than to actually go through whatever it is that you're trying to avoid and resist and hold on to. Would you agree with that and say it's a fair statement?
I would agree with it, except when you're going through it.
Right.
When you're going through it, it seems like that it's bigger than anything. And there's a thing called the dark night of the soul. That's not, it's becoming more understood. But when one's going through it, it's when a soul starts to mourn everything in their energy, there's perceived pain according to the logical mind for everything that person has experienced. And they don't understand why, but there's no control over what's coming up. And it's easy to get stuck in, which is why it's so important to get present, because getting present allows us to realize that when we're suffering to a thought that no longer exists, it's over. And when we can get the perspective and get present and look at a point on the wall or look at a bird and say, I used to have to go through it. I would have to say over and over and over, I am okay in this moment. I am fine the way I am. I have a roof over my head. I have food in my stomach. And I would have to talk myself into a place of getting out of another moment. And a lot of people are having to do that because they're stuck in what they perceive as misery. And it's only misery according to the thoughts in their mind.
Okay, well, that's great. We have actually a couple questions here. We have from Wikiman, which I'll get to in a moment. But I think, Cindy, this will be a great because of what you just finished with. Cindy says, what choice do I have? I have a house payment and 2 kids and a deadbeat husband who doesn't work. Happiness is a luxury.
Happiness can come Happiness comes from in our heart. It doesn't come through the physical things that we put our happiness in. And what's happening is people are waking up and realizing that they're not happy because they have lived their entire lives by putting their happiness in things outside of themselves. This is about finding happiness in your heart, whether it's writing or painting or creating or singing, or it doesn't matter. We have to start somewhere. And when we start somewhere, that grows because the soul will always provide for the things that nourish our spirit. It may be getting out and just walking around the lake or going for a walk with your dog. Doesn't matter as long as you're doing something that makes you happy.
We have a question here from Wikiman. What creates victim mode? I think I have it. I don't want to complain anymore.
Well, figure out if you blame anybody for anything. If you feel that you've ever been done wrong, then you're in the part of your ego that needs to blame somebody. And I held on to the need to blame until one day I realized that I was the prisoner and I wasn't hurting anybody else, and I just let it all go. And it took a lot of work. But the soul doesn't blame. The heart, when you shift from your head to your heart, there's no blame, there's no shame. And I have people call me all the time and they're like, I'm stuck in my head. I'm angry. And they know they're stuck in their head, and they're working really hard to shift to their heart, which is why we do hand on heart. And hand on heart has you close your eyes, and I'll do it right now. So,
okay, and then we got a couple questions on chat, but I just want to, this is a great exercise. Before we start this exercise, I want to talk about it a little bit because the first time that you introduced me to this, I was like, I don't want to do it. And I had a ton of resistance. But apparently I'm not the only person, right? I mean, you've told me that people... So let's talk about this. Why do people resist this simple exercise that is life-changing?
Because it contradicts everything that they think. It is in the world of the soul, the spirit, the higher self, whatever you want to call it. To me, it's all the same thing. In the world of spirituality, your spirit comes from your heart, and it will, I say always, if you can find another way, go for it. It will always contradict what's in the logical mind because of duality. They're opposites. So being in the world where you come from what exists here, it will always go against what you think, and that's not comfortable. So a lot of people will get their answer, and every time I do this, they get an answer, and they don't like their answer, and then they start searching for another answer to find a different answer, which is what gets them caught back in the spin cycle of round and round and round again. Whereas they've had the answer the entire time, they just didn't want to listen. So this allows someone who's having a rough day. I have people all the time say, how do I know? Go within. Everything we have is within us in here. And you got to start somewhere. So why not?
So we're going to have Lisa lead us in this exercise, and then we've got several questions here on chat, which I promised to, but I feel very passionately because this exercise has made such a difference in my life that I want you all to experience. So we'll do the exercise, have Lisa lead us in it, and then I promise we'll get to your questions on chat. So go ahead, Lisa, lead us, please.
Okay, hand on heart has two purposes. One, if you're wanting to bring up anything that's stuck in your energy, this will do it. Most people sit there waiting for it to come up right then. Sometimes it does. It's very uncomfortable. But what will happen is it'll usually come up when you least expect it, the next day, within the week, or whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's really fast. The other thing is a lot of people will need an answer, and they don't know how to find their what we call your truth. Your truth exists in your heart. So we have them if you really want to know, you close your eyes. And if you're trying to get to an energy that's stuck, then you do this at least 5 minutes a day before you go to bed or when you wake up in the morning, or do it twice. It depends on how fast you want it to come up because it'll get it for you. If you were just searching for an answer, you can just close your eyes. When you close your eyes, you shut down your logical mind. It's harder to think because when you shut your eyes, you tap in to your third eye, and you also shift to your heart. And I have people put their hand on their heart, because when you put your hand on your heart, you can actually feel your answer in your physical body. And if you have what I call monkey brain, where your thoughts are very rampant, then what I do is put your finger up and you close your eyes and you match the speed of your thoughts up. Now, obviously, I'm not closing my eyes, but my eyes would be closed. And you match the speed of your thoughts up to your hand. And then you slowly slow your hand down until your thoughts slow down to match the speed. Because sometimes our thoughts are so wacko that they don't want to get out of the way. Now, you can actually speak to your thought and say, I see you. Take a back seat, and I'll get back to you later. You can say thank you. Thank you works really well. And then put your hand on your heart with your eyes closed. And then if you're looking for an answer, just ask a question. But don't sit there and think. The very first thing that pops up with your eyes closed will be your answer. If you don't like the answer, then we go into thinking mode and we start looking for another one. And that's where confusion comes, because I get people call going, oh, it's not working. That's because I'm thinking, or my eyes are open. Shut your eyes, listen, pay attention, and the more you do it, the easier it gets. Now, if you're looking to clear an energy that's stuck, you'll put your hand on your heart 5 minutes a day before you go to bed or when you wake up in the morning. And within your energy, if you lack love, if you lack kindness, if you lack anything, pick it. If it's, you're going to say to yourself, the thing you need the most, that you lack the most. If it's I am beautiful, if it's I am worthy, that's a big one for people. To give yourself the love that you lack for the thing that makes you the most comfortable. It actually sends love to the energy within you, and it actually pushes it up, because love is light energy. And everything within you that's fear, that's guilt, that's blame is a lower frequency. And light carries a lighter frequency. Love carries a higher frequency, and it pushes what we call dark energy out of our energy field. And when that starts to come up, that's when the tears come up. That's when the anger comes up. And it's important not to suppress it, because it's been suppressed for so long, and just allow it. Release judgment. A lot of people will go into a place of judgment, and they will see anger, or they will see the need to cry as a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's got to go, and it's time. And so many people are suffering to things that have been stuck forever. And this allows us to bring it up and let it go, but do it in a safe way. And that's most important. You don't ever want to do anything that isn't safe for you or another person. So I tell people, do what's safe. And if you're doing this and it becomes too much, then back off and stop doing it for a while. Ask your higher self, your soul guidance, for ease, for grace. And ask for it to take it easy on you if it gets too tough. It'll acknowledge.
And I have to agree with that, because I did it for a while, and then, people here know that I'm very close with someone who's very ill, and when I went down to visit her, I was like, I have to take a break. I can't do this right now. Yeah. And so, I got that message, but I feel very strongly, if you do one thing tonight, do this. But I want to get to some questions on chat, and I want to remind everyone, if you have a question for Lisa, chat it, and I'm happy to ask, or call in at 919-518-9773, or Skype computers 2K voice. Charlie asks, did you go to school for this or make it up? What is it called again?
It's called anything you want to call it. It is, I'm a light energy channel. I do soul awakening ascension. I do soul connection where people have lost a bit of their soul. I do the awakening with those who are awakening. When we go through an awakening process, there's a separation of consciousness. And we start to realize that something's changed when we start to see through our heart. We become observers instead of participators. I did not go technically to school for this. You can't really go to school for your soul igniting and becoming so prevalent in your life that that's all you do. I did go to metaphysical school. I have a bachelor's degree in metaphysical sciences, and I'm about to complete my master's degree in metaphysics and then go on to dual doctorates. So, yeah.
I want to add something to that, because I just tweeted about that. And just because someone didn't go to Harvard, just because she's not endorsed by Marianne Williamson, or doesn't have a PhD or whatever, that doesn't mean they're an expert. And again, I'm a little biased because I've worked personally with Lisa, but one of the goals of the show, for instance, I have no background in TV. I have no background in communications. I have no background except for a pure interest and a desire to learn more in body, mind, and spirit issues. Yet this is my calling. This is what I'm meant to do. Does that mean I'm disqualified or not qualified enough? I would say no way. So I would encourage you, again, this brings up putting your hand on your heart. What does your heart say? That says this is the path, or this is this thing you need to do, then go for it and do it. But we've got some great questions here on chat, so I want to make sure we get them all answered. Genwa, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. What are tools to be present? Will it make me money?
Depends. Getting present tools. Presence is something that you practice by being still with yourself and learning to release thoughts. If we choose it, a lot of people will go to meditation. Meditation is a phenomenal thing. Meditation didn't work for me. I couldn't meditate. Couldn't do it. That's how Hand on Heart started. Because my brain was too wacko for me to sit still. I couldn't calm my brain down. My thoughts were rampant, and everybody that told me to meditate, I'm like, I can't. I could not hear my own thoughts. They drove me bonkers. Until the day came that I didn't have a choice and I got put down medically. And when your soul decides it's going to wake up, your choices are taken away. And the choice to avoid is no longer an option. And it's forefront and it's in your face. And for me, I had to, quote, suffer through it to learn everything that I now understand. So mine is my experience with it, because the soul doesn't measure by degrees. It measures by the amount of light one has. It's completely opposite of the logical world. And it's only about being love and helping and letting people find their own happiness. I don't tell anybody how to do anything.
Because there's a question here from Georgette asking if you're psychic.
I was. It's a period that we go through. I went through being an empath, a sensitive, to I've run a group for 3 or 4 years of psychics. At moments, yes, I am psychic. It's not something I technically practice anymore. The level of consciousness that I can tap into gives me the ability to connect on a level that allows me access to things before they occur. Y'all would name that psychic, but for me, it's a level of consciousness that we all have access to now, but we have to go through the psychic part to hit the higher levels of consciousness. So I don't technically practice being psychic any longer.
And you know what? I feel really strongly, and one of the things that motivates me to do this show is to empower people and to know that they have the answers from within. And, you know, and there's no judgment. I mean, I went through a point in my life where I was always seeking the answers from someone else. I gave my power away and said, well, they know, and they're the ones that are right and can tell me. But there have been points in my life where I've seen a psychic, or a psychic has offered me information without me asking, which I'm not a fan of, and it's messed with me. Like, it's frustrated me, and it's gotten me mixed up in thoughts, and it's made me challenge myself. And so I really, you know, try to not do that anymore and do the hand on the heart and take a step back and think through that myself. Now we've got a couple more questions here, so I want to make sure I get to these. And great questions, by the way. And if you have a question, chat it in, or you can call in at 919-518-9773 or Skype Computers 2K Voice. Wikiman says, how do I forgive myself? I am a victim of my own wrongdoing.
You have to see that you did wrong in order to be a victim. There's a book, Radical Forgiveness, and I recommend this to everybody that's having a hard time with forgiveness. For me, I just had to go through it. For me, I had to come to a place to understand that I was holding everybody accountable for things that were over. And I just chose to be free. I just chose to let go. And I chose to be happy, which is what everybody that comes to me wants. They just want to be happy. And that's what this is about. This isn't about anything other than being okay in our hearts and being happy and finding answers to questions that we have within us. The way to stop being the victim is to come to release yourself from judgment for everything that's ever occurred. And I do not deal with things on a physical world perspective, which most people will say, do you not live in the physical world? I do. I live in it very differently than most people. I live in the physical world according to my soul, and my soul holds no blame, shame, fear, or guilt according to the logical mind anymore, because I actually went through what we call repatterning my own cellular memory and everything that was stuck in my energy by reprogramming my own mind to be okay. And I now have boundaries. I didn't have boundaries. We learned to establish faith and trust in ourselves that we didn't have before. And it is a process. And I would say it's not an easy process, because when the soul awakens, it turns most people's worlds upside down. And this is about weathering that upside down world with more ease and grace.
Fantastic. Now we've got a couple more questions I want to get to. Cindy says, seriously, of course I want to be happy. I don't see how to have a different life. Go for a walk to be happy. Are you serious? I need a new life. This new age stuff is not practical. What would you say to Cindy?
Well, my first thing is, if you're being driven to do something different, if you choose not to, then your soul may come in and decide to take everything away from you so that you don't have a choice anymore. I choose to change that within me, because our world is as we perceive it to be. So if I perceive my reality to be a horrible reality, then it will be. I have just as many challenges as the next person. The difference is I greet them with grace and I release them with ease, and they are not barriers any longer. And I am happy no matter where I am. Happy isn't a thing. Happy is something we possess within us. And so for her, I would say focus on what would make you happy within and start somewhere. Because if you look at the bigger picture of it will never happen, then it won't. Because those things you speak and you think are exactly the way your world will be. And I had to remove I can't and I won't and no and but from my vocabulary, and they don't exist any longer. So it's choice. Everything is.
I believe that we have a choice every moment of every day, and doing nothing is also a choice. Now, yeah. Bobby said, can we actually do the hand on the heart, because he didn't follow what you said. So maybe we could quickly lead everyone in that.
Yeah, and I have a video up online, too, for people that want to watch the video. I'm on Facebook. I have Hand on Heart, a movement on Facebook. You can actually go to it, and it has the videos up teaching you how to do it. But the hand on heart, when you do it, you would close your eyes and put your hand on your heart. If you need to slow your thoughts down, then you would slow your thoughts down. Put both hands on your heart and feel your body. Because when your vibration drops, that's fear. When your vibration raises, that's love, kindness, happy, whatever. I go yes, no, okay? If your heart drops, you've gone into a place of fear, which is your logical mind. So what I do is you close your eyes, and if you're trying to release or bring up an energy that's stuck, then give yourself that which you lack. If it's I am happy, then say I'm happy. If I am love, say I am love. And you would sit there, try different ones. See which one's the most uncomfortable. Because what will happen is the one that is the most uncomfortable is the one that will do you the biggest benefit. But it will also be the one that brings up the most stuff. And if you're not ready to deal with it, you don't want to go there. So start with the easy stuff first. And I would just sit and for 5 minutes a day with my hand on my heart, and I would say kind things to myself. You're only giving yourself love. And love transmits into your energy, and it fills those holes within you that lack, and it forces up for you to see. And when it starts coming up that you're in fear, or you blame, or you're angry, you can't have judgment, because if you're going to do that, then you're just going to compound what you're bringing up and make it worse on yourself. So you would want to, before you do this, tell yourself you're not going to judge anything you see, because this isn't about judging and making things worse. This is about changing things and being happy.
All right, we've got a comment here from Cindy. She says, you seem nice, nothing personal. I have 2 kids, work at IBM. I need to send my kids to college. This all seems weird. I can be positive until the cowboys come. This is false hope. But Paige added a comment, said it's not. Lisa was the same way. It's not false hope. It's a choice. So can you add on to what Paige said?
Well, I went through it. I worked making a lot of money, and I functioned every moment for the next paycheck. I had everything going for me, and everything was perfect in that material world. And then when my soul started to wake up, then I got laid off. I lost my car, and everything fell apart. And my health went out the window. I developed such chronic medical issues that I couldn't function anymore. And I went through a 1.5 years of dark night of the soul where I mourned and cried and went through from addiction to addiction until it all came up and it had to leave. So I would say, if you're not happy, enroll in a class where you're painting. Start sitting around the house and doing something. Start writing on blogs. Create a website. Doesn't matter. Do something creative. And just start in that direction instead of waiting until you decide in that moment that you're completely miserable and something has to change. Make it a choice to do something now that makes you happy, no matter what it is. Just anything small.
Now, Genoa asks, what do you do differently in your life that the rest of us don't do?
I have trust. And I listen to every sign. And if I get, don't do that, I don't do it. Now, yesterday, I can tell you, I did it. I paid for it. I have learned. If I get a message, listen. I didn't listen for so long that I endured extreme suffering. You learn to start trusting higher guidance just by testing it. Ask, open up, get up in the morning, set your day, say, you know what, today I'm going to have a phenomenal day. I'm going to be happy. I'm not going to get mad at anybody. And I'm going to just let everything roll off my sleeve. Nothing's personal. And then get up and go with your day. Be conscious enough in every moment to pay attention to when an emotion arises within yourself to notice that, oh, there's something there. Somebody made me angry, because angry is never at the other person. It's always yours.
Got a great comment here from Cindy. Material world isn't me. I'm not happy with my life, but I do get it now. Maybe I should get a hobby. She likes needlepoint.
Perfect.
So, there you go.
Yay.
Now I have a quick question for you. How do we know what level we're vibing at? Because before we even met, you had watched the show, and I can't remember. I think you had said you'd seen sadness in me or heaviness. I don't remember what it was, but it was interesting because I consider myself fairly self-aware. You were right on. I'm not debating that, but but it wasn't too apparent to me. I mean, I'd been doing a lot of work. So how, if someone's listening or watching, how can they know where they are? And how can we raise that vibration and frequency?
Vibrational frequency is done through doing anything that makes you happy. And I know it's repetitive, and I keep saying it, but it's true. Singing your favorite song. If you got to skip around the house and sing all day long to be happy, do it. Doesn't matter. Raise your vibrational frequency. Plants are live. Anything live carries light energy. The food you eat makes a huge difference, because if it is not nourishing your body, and you can take it from one who was 350 pounds. If it is not nourishing your body, it is not nourishing your soul. Raw food, I ended up having to go to raw food when my health got so bad that my entire physical body shut down. My kidneys, my liver, you name it, shut down. My whole body was toxic, and I didn't have a choice. Now, I am the epitome of health. I don't go to doctors. I don't take 30 pills a day anymore. I have no medical problems. And I maintain my own vibrational frequency through having respect for myself and what goes in my body and what I participate in. I had the mouth of a sailor. I don't say anything negative anymore. It goes as you focus on raising your vibrational frequency. Those things you can actually feel. I had a girl the other day tell me she had her friends come visit, And afterwards, she's like, whoa, that was interesting to watch. You can actually tell there's a rift in vibrational frequency between you and other people when you raise yours and they stay the same. You don't tolerate what you used to tolerate anymore, because in raising your vibrational frequency, you gain respect for yourself, and you won't allow anything less anymore.
You can't.
No.
I mean, we had this conversation because for me it became physically, there are just certain people I physically can't be around. Mm-hmm. It's just really, in some aspects, don't have a choice, because you physically just, you can't tolerate it.
You can't.
Now I want to hop back on something, because I know how you are about raw food and conscious awareness and eating, and I think that's so important. And I think there are a lot of people out there, myself definitely included, although I'm super excited. I think I experienced a shift yesterday in this. I'm an emotional eater. And I've never met a cheese I didn't like, especially melted cheese. Now, what advice would you have for someone? Because when we're eating and we're emotionally eating, that is an unconscious moment. So maybe for someone else it's shopping, or maybe from someone else it's drinking or gambling. So if we're caught up in that unconscious moment, what can we do to become conscious again?
I actually started a process. I created games with myself. That's how I started doing all of this. I went through it, and I had to develop things that changed. I am an extreme person. So I chose every extreme thing to experience. So when getting out of it, I had to go extreme. So when I went to the refrigerator, the ego, the logical mind, whatever you want to call it, same thing to me, it sees not having something as a loss. Whereas the soul sees everything that we can have. So what I did was I would switch to what I call my soul self. And I can show you how I do that too. I have an exercise for everything. I would actually go to the refrigerator, and I would ask myself, what purpose does this serve? What am I feeding? If I couldn't say that I was feeding to support nutrition or my health, I was feeding an emotion. Now, I still had choice. Sometimes I still chose to eat it just because I wanted it. But the difference was most people, I had somebody tell me recently, I don't want to eat like you do. I don't want to lose everything. And so they're fighting as hard as they can go the thing they know they have to do, which is fine. But what happens is I stopped thinking about it as losing anything, and I just started putting in my diet the things that I could have that were new. And I introduced something new every week, because you can't tell what affects your body if you do it much faster. I started checking my pH balance and started drinking pH balanced water. Immediately, I dropped 30 pounds in 1 month just from getting off sugar. I didn't take things away. I added things that were good for me, that I enjoyed. And now I couldn't eat that stuff if you put it in front of me. And I can't touch meat because I can see the animal now. You can't. But as you eat what I call light foods, raw, then you nourish your body with life. And your body actually treats you the way you treat it. If I treat my body with respect, my body respects me back.
And every time I go over to Lisa's house, I eat well. So you can enjoy the raw food. She gets this rice that's awesome and some other really good things. So it is possible.
Right.
But let's shift a little bit. I want to talk about, what is light energy work? Because I think that's kind of a nebulous term in our LightBody, and I hear that a lot. So can you delve a little deeper and talk to us about that?
It's quite different. I started out with doing Reiki. I took Reiki, and that was pivotal for me. I thought I was doing Reiki for all different reasons. And one, it was a certification class. That was cool. But two, I was called to it. Didn't know what it was. Went to Reiki, not realizing that I needed Reiki for all my stuff to come up. So I suffered. I went from a very happy, skinny little person to a full-blown alcoholic in a month. I went through Reiki drunk. My poor teacher. She loves me now. She wasn't so thrilled, but she did. And she was probably the first person I had ever met that treated me with kindness and didn't judge me. And that was pivotal in my growth, not being judged. Because I judged myself so harshly that I didn't need anybody else. I had become my own abuser. And that's what we do. What was the question?
Oh, about light, what is light energy work and what's our light body?
Okay. Light energy work is quite different. I started out with Reiki, and people do it as a healing method. Light, it took me a while to quite understand what I was doing because it was not anything I had ever seen. And I had never met another person that did it either. But I actually channel light energy that transmits, and it tunes the frequency of somebody's soul energy, and it allows things to purge and clear. And it raises the vibrational frequency so that all bodies' consciousness can merge. It's a transmission of light that when I do energy, it's not typical energy. It transmits light and it balances the frequencies out. When somebody actually stands up, they stand up taller. They walk around, they can feel the energy moving, they have instant clarity, they're grounded, and it allows for integration and raising of vibrational frequency so that things can leave with greater ease. It is quite different. It is for the integration of the soul energy, and it allows the body's consciousness, the mental consciousness, and the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the soul energy to all integrate on a higher level, and it raises the vibrational frequency of all four so that they can actually integrate when they all hit the same. I've had people stand up and go, oh, wow, and they can feel differences immediately. So it is quite different. It's not typical, which is why we do the LightBody workshops, because we actually teach transformation and integration, and we do DNA activation. And I don't know that there are very many, if any, people doing this in the United States, much less overseas. I mean, I know they are, but not quite like this.
Then how, when you do this light body work, how does that help people create their reality once this has been activated and you get it going?
They start practicing consciousness and coming from their heart. They observe. The heart observes. The logical mind analyzes, and it creates judgment. Anytime one forms an opinion, they have gone to a place of judgment. So there's no opinion in observation of the heart. You just watch, and you see your reactions, and you choose to change them. And there are different methods that are in place. One being the Don Miguel Ruiz book, The Four Agreements, which is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
There is Personal Power Through Awareness by Sanaya Roman. They're all books on being present and learning what is yours and what isn't, so that you can learn to separate and maintain your own energetic field and stop intertwining them with another, which is where people come into a problem because they try to save the world. I was the consummate victim and savior all wrapped up in one person. I had a lot of qualities. But you no longer step out of your own space to save somebody else. You no longer allow somebody in your energetic space. You maintain boundaries with kindness and love. It can be done, and it's a process. It's not an overnight. I have people go, I want the quick fix.
They want the Eckhart Tolle special. I've been asking for it for years, and it's not happening. So, you know what? I guess I'm just going to have to take the route with the rest of us working stiffs. What is the difference between us creating our reality versus a life that's been created for us?
The life that's been created for us is created and exists in our mind according to the belief systems that we have acquired or carried over from other lifetimes. It is the things that we were taught, the things that our parents said to us, and the things that we have learned. The difference is when you move to your heart, you actually start to comprehend. You separate your realities for a while. You have your physical self-reality and you have your soul reality, which exists in your heart, and you start comparing them. in order to learn which is which. Because once you can shift by choice, then you can choose the thoughts that you think, and you can change them to ones that work and don't create fear within you.
How do we learn to listen? Because, someone asked you earlier if you were psychic. We've talked about the hand on the heart. What can we do to listen? Because we have all the answers we need inside of us. How do we do that?
First, establish a dialogue with your higher self. It's very important to have that communication. You can't hear if you're not open to listening. Ask for a sign and start paying attention. It will be the thing that is so simple. The heart is simple. The logical mind complicates things. It will be simple. It'll be so simple it'll seem stupid. You may say, I need to know what I need to do about this trip. And the next thing you pull up on the internet might be a flight on sale to Jamaica. If you start to pay attention to everything that occurs in your day, the little things, then you'll start to notice things that you didn't before. And the answers are all there for you. You just have to learn how to pay attention. And then if you're not going to say help, you're not going to get any help. Not help from a victim standpoint, but help from a guidance standpoint so that you can actually choose whether to just go by mechanical thoughts or whether you're actually going to look at something and say, no, I have a choice. Choice is everything.
Now, does this allow us to connect to our soul? Because so many people are like, what's my purpose in life? And they want to know that. How do we connect with that to find that out? How do we connect with our soul?
Everybody used to look up. My soul's up there. Come down and get me. It's no longer up there. It's here. It is the spark in our heart that has ignited. It is the desire within us for something different. And the only way to activate your soul yourself is to choose to bring more light in, because the soul is pure light. And what happens is as you bring light in, it shines on the darkness within us, which is what you hear light workers talk about, light and dark. Other people say good or bad. There is no good or bad in our world. There is light and dark was created with the purpose of learning. Everything becomes an experience. There is no right or wrong.
How do we open our heart? How do we learn to do that?
Accept ourselves, choose, and start to listen to the things we get that contradict our own logical mind. And when you go to do something, when you feel, no, I shouldn't do that, that's your answer. Start to listen to the feelings. Your heart communicates through you in a vibrational frequency that you can feel. And if you pay attention to the feeling in your body, you can actually tell when your soul is speaking to you. The resistance that you feel when you walk into the room and your body tenses up, that's an automatic, don't go there. What happens is people will lock up and continue to go there and then wonder why they have a problem or how they got themselves into a fix. And it's a 24/7 job to listen to your soul. But what happens is the more you do it, then your soul starts guiding you, and you will not have to ask as much in the future. You're going to say, okay, I'm willing to listen if you're willing to show me. And then you have to open up and actually choose to listen. And there are different methods. I have the online video course that teaches people to actually go through awakening and ascension and the different exercises and all that kind of stuff. I have that, and then we do workshops. So there's a lot of, just start looking. You got to be curious. Don't do anything that kicks your logical mind in overdrive, because that causes more suffering. A lot of people will start reading books on scientific way to understand the soul. There is no, not for me, scientific way to understand the soul. I actually got to experience that for a while, and I think that's why I do what I do now, which is the total opposite.
I want to talk briefly about, you have a very unique, as far as I'm concerned, and experienced way of doing your energy work. The first time I saw Lisa, we talked, my guess is 6 hours, and I'm literally not exaggerating, because before she does energy work, she needs to break your ego down. And I would say my ego just needs just a little bit of breaking down. And I was exhausted. I'm like, if I have to talk anymore, I'm just going to pass out.
And that's when you get to work in the energy, is when you give up.
When you give up, because you're like, dang, I can't talk with this woman anymore. Just whatever you want to do, go on and do that. So talk a little bit about that.
The energy body has a consciousness of its own. And the subconscious actually interferes with the energy that I do. Because if somebody just walks in and jumps up on a table, which they've done it, I'll do energy. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not helping somebody. If they just run in, jump on a table for a quick fix, they'll walk away and it's great. But part of this process is transforming our own mind into something that gives us the ability to create our own world instead of living by the one that's been created for us. In order to do that, we have to delve into what's there. I listen to frequencies, and as one speaks, then I stop them mid-sentence and say, okay, stop. And I have them listen to the frequency and the words that they're saying in order, because we don't understand what's there. We don't see it. We don't hear it. I am able to hear it when one speaks. So when somebody walks in and says, oh, I've forgiven everybody and everything's wonderful and hunky-dory, but tells you everything. And people do not understand that everything we need to know is existent in present moment. So as one speaks, everything that's stuck in their energy becomes present. Now, there are people that have a lot of walls up, which is why I make them talk till they can't talk anymore. And every time they say, I'm whooped, I'm like, okay, now I can do your energy. Because what happens is we have resistance in our energy body that puts up a wall and will not let. I've had people, I can't get in their energy. And and what happens is they walk away. When they're ready, they come back. And then usually they will come back. I get a lot of rock bottom people. I get a lot of people will not, and I was one of them, so I can say it from experience, will not choose this because they have to be forced into a place of desperation to choose their soul. Because it means giving up everything in the material world that we have come to know. And we don't give up easily. At all. We fight with everything we got, and a survivor of everything is the hardest one to break because they've survived and they claim survivorship, which makes them victim too.
Absolutely. And what advice would you have for people who are out there struggling? You know, a couple of people challenged you tonight, but this are in a really rock bottom place or tough place. What would you say to them?
Choose. Make a choice. That's the absolute first thing we all have to do. I don't ask to help anybody because the moment I ask, if they're not desperate, it doesn't help. So, choose. If you're having a rough time, if you're stuck in that place and you know there's something better, then say, okay, you know what? I choose this. And the video course that I'm doing actually walks people through being able to choose this instead of being forced into it when they've lost everything as they know it, which is what most of us have had to endure. There are a lot of people going through it now that haven't had to lose everything, which is awesome. So this is hopefully going to help people choose it. But we have to make a choice because our soul's sitting there waiting for us saying, when you choose, I'll help you. It's choice.
I'm all about getting off the couch. So what one thing can people do tonight, right after the show, tomorrow morning, in a minute? What can they do to reawaken their brilliance?
Pick something that makes you happy. and do it. Doesn't matter what it is, start focusing on happy. And if you need assistance or start looking into what works for you. If I don't resonate with you, that's awesome. Find somebody that does. Because you know what? There are enough light workers out there that are just, this is all we do. All day, 24 hours a day, is make information available for people so they can figure it out for themselves.
All right. Now, what can you tell us about any upcoming classes you have, workshops, and how can people learn more information about you?
Okay. My website is www.transcendingconsciousness.com. I have an events page with my workshops on them. I have the video course under courses that you can do from your home. That's your get off the couch. I am doing workshops. I have a Reiki class coming up, Reiki certification. I do with another light worker. We co-facilitate workshops and we travel. So we have one in Fayetteville for the transformation and activation, raise your vibration for the LightBody, which will be in Fayetteville March 15th, 16th and 17th, 2 days. We will be doing one in Colorado, and then we're looking at some other in several other states. I think there's another one in Cape Cod in upcoming months. We're looking at an all-day workshop in the Triangle area in April that is just on the awakening and ascending soul and raising your vibrational frequency and understanding all of this and getting techniques and how-tos. Lots of everything. So go to my website, and I'm on Facebook and active every moment of the day.
Fantastic. We posted a lot there, and as always, thank you. I learned a ton of stuff, and I'd encourage you to get going with one of these workshops. We will have Paige and Lisa on to explain their workshops. We're going to get that set up in June so you can learn more about it and all the good stuff. And I want to let our Raleigh viewers know that we're going to have my next Thrive series, which is on reducing anxiety and managing stress. So if you're stressed out, you don't have a lot of peace in your life, or don't sweat the small stuff, then come on and learn more about it. If you go to reawakenyourbrilliance.com, you can find more information. This is the last month with purchase of a ticket. You get a free acupuncture visit and treatment and a free chiropractic treatment. And if you bring a friend, you save money, but we're going to be switching that up. I'll have a new announcement about that in about 2 or 3 weeks. But if you want to, check it out. It's sponsored by Delta Force Technologies. Our local workshops have really taken off, and we get lots of good feedback about that. So if you need to reduce stress and learn how to manage all of that not fun stuff, check it out. All right, everyone. We'll see you here next week. Bye now.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Sundays 9 a.m. till noon. Carrie's Psychic Cafe with Carrie Silkowski, Sundays 8 till 9 p.m. Health In with Debbie Bruck, Mondays 11 a.m. till noon. Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays 8 till 9 p.m. One Chic Mama with Mary Michelle, Wednesdays 4 till 5 p.m. Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, Wednesdays 9 till 10 p.m. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by ThatVidBlasterGuy.com, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.